All right, y'all. Well, here we are. It's kind of frigid in here. Maybe I'm just weak, but it's 39 degrees. I can see my breath. I've had the propane heater going for about an hour or so, and it hasn't really done anything. Rose the temperature by about 5 degrees, but hopefully moving around will raise the temperature even more and get me more comfortable. But I got a little bit overzealous, and I pulled some stuff off. As you can see, I got the the timing belt cover off of the cam gears and whatnot. And I'll be honest, I've been holding off on this just because a little bit of fear and doing some research and all that stuff because I was just obsessive about it. But I know the issues, not necessarily issues, but the trouble that can come from the cam gears, especially just on the driver's side because they're under a little bit of tension. So doing some research since it's been so dang long, they got the cam gear locking tool, and I was like, dang, I need to buy one of those, but it's too late and like getting really close to my deadline, so I was gonna do 2 ratchets and whatnot, but watched a little bit more of a video and realized like for taking it apart or removing the belt, you don't need to lock the cam gears in place, and they're not gonna, when they spin, they're not gonna, hopefully, valves won't kiss each other. So that's what I'm crossing my fingers on, is that I don't cross any, or don't have any valves messing each other up, because I already don't know what the full extent of the damage is. But this is going to be a quick time lapse. Well, I say quick, but it'll be quick for you all, but probably not for me. But I'm going to do a time lapse of getting the engine apart. Going to obviously get the head separated from the engine block and then take the oil pan off as well, because I want to see what the state of that is. I kind of talked it over the phone. I got reassured that possibly all it needs is to clean up, if anything, probably get a new baffle for it on the inside, because this is the competition series, so it's got the grate in there with the rubber flaps that open up to allow oil to go into the center, so it's never starving of oil in turns and such. But with the water that was in there, got kind of scared, and I already know the passenger side head gasket is blown. I'm kind of curious to see what's going on there. But yesterday, when I took the crank pulley off, or the balancer off, and then I put the bolt back in to rotate the gears to get the timing marks matched up, there was some water that came out of the driver's side of the engine. So kind of nervous to see what's going on in there. But this is the heads were custom built by Define Performance, so I've got his package for that with the S2 GSC gears. But the case halves themselves were the IAG's Stage 2. So this is going to be my first time actually seeing inside of it since buying them. And I'm actually kind of curious as to what it looks like. I never got to see it shiny and new like what they show on the videos and such. But I'm hoping that nothing is too warped, that it can't be corrected from machining, and I'm also hoping that the cylinders aren't like ovaled out or anything like that. I'm not sure, like my knowledge of Subarus and such, especially with the engines, has kind of dwindled just because it's been so reliable, so I haven't focused on it. But from some short reading, I've come to find that the horizontally opposed engines don't really do the ovaling, but we'll see what the state of it all is. Possibly going to get a new set of pistons. I don't know, but let's get to it, see what the full extent of this damage is. Back in the garage. The time lapse for this video was last night, and obviously taking the engine apart, and the thumbnail is actually my premature celebration, if you want to call it that. So I don't know if y'all followed me on Instagram or not, but I did post a photo of me being happy that I got the timing belt off, and just a little, hopefully short, little side story for it. But I was kind of afraid to get the timing belt off, which is why I kind of held off on the project a little bit, and did a little bit of research. But I was afraid of the cam gears, the sprockets moving around, so I wanted to do as much research as I could to see whether or not it would, if I needed the cam lock tool, or if it was perfectly fine just to, take the tension off the belt and let the driver's side cam gears spin. And it took a while, but I ended up finding one video where a guy was super detailed in how he did it, and when he just loosened up the toothed pulley, not the crank pulley, but the one that's next to the water pump on the engine. He took that off, and as soon as he took it off, the tension went away, and the driver's side cam gears just kind of spun just to release the tension that they had on the springs. And obviously, kind of more important was the fact that the timing marks were matched up, and that allowed top dead center to be a thing, and the passenger side gears to be, cams to be free floating and whatnot. And so I was able to found out that I could in fact take the belt off and not have to worry about that. So I took the belt off, and then I took off all the pulleys and blah blah blah, and got super happy. So I posted the photo. I took the photo because I was super happy, and I thought I had accomplished a lot of stuff. However, right after that is kind of when I realized my problem. So I was trying. So I knew I had to take the, or I didn't know because it's been so long, but yeah, you guys are kind of getting me talking through just how much I have forgotten. So this is kind of raw. I didn't want to have anything filtered and make it look like I knew absolutely everything that I was doing. So here I am, just kind of being transparent and vulnerable for y'all. But anyway, so I got the timing belt and the pulleys off, and then I went to go look to see if I could take off the heads. And wouldn't you know it, I'm an idiot, and I forgot that there are cams in the way of the head studs. I can get one of them, that guy right there, but then there's one right there, and there's one under there, there's one there, over here, there's one under there, and then there's another one right there. So as you can see, 5 of the 6 head studs have a cam in their way. So I have to take the cam off, which would require me to take the cam caps off, this, which is like a whole assembly right there, including these 4 bolts, and then obviously taking the cam sprockets off. However, when I was trying to take the cam sprockets off, I was an idiot at first and tried to do it with an impact. So yeah, call me dumb if you will, but I already know that I'm dumb after doing some more looking into it. So that obviously didn't work. So my next thing was to try and hold the cams or the sprockets in place, and doing it by hand's not possible. And then I did a little bit more research, and that's where I found the idea of strapping the timing belt around the cam sprocket and then also around the crank pulley. Well, I did that, and it kept jumping teeth, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So I did it a couple more times, and then I found another video where it talked about putting, the water pump and the toothed gear here, and, wrapping it around this, and then coming up and over the water pump underneath the toothed gear, and then around the spline, so you have some the grooves in the belt hugging the teeth of it, and then having like a really thick packet here that's vice gripped, and then vice gripping it right here so that's tight on the gear. The issue I was running into, and sorry if I'm moving the camera, and not showing the visuals all that well when I'm in the midst of my talking, but concentrating on the talking and this instead of the camera. Anyway, when I did that, all this was doing was spinning as the tension got tighter and tighter. So that wasn't working, and clearly it's not working there. And then I'm going to pause really quick and show you what's happening to the socket that I'm using. So this is the socket that I happen to be using, and I'm trying to get it to where you can see what's going on. So instead of stripping the head of the bolt there, it is actually rotating the pressed in hex bit in the socket itself. So there's that. And then, you know, I was putting my full body weight on the breaker bar and like not a budge. So I decided to see what I could do, and I then remembered all the company 23 tools. I decided to place an order on those. I was gonna ask a shop nearby if they by chance had any, and be audacious enough to see if I could borrow them, but I decided not. And then, you know, through more thinking, once all this is taken apart, to get the engine back into the car, I have to put it all back together, which would require me to torque down the cam gear bolts so that the cams don't come loose. And what's that going to require? Likely going to require the sprocket tools. So I decided to buy them anyway. And I know, like, after I took the timing belt off, I felt like a little bit of an idiot, because I could have kept everything on here, including the timing belt, everything in time still, put the bolt back into the crank gear, and then, you know, have all the tension there, and just put a 1/2 inch breaker bar, or, you know, the wrench, or the ratchet that I have, and then use a breaker bar on the sprocket bolts. But that was hindsight 2020, so that obviously didn't happen. So on a pause. I did order them late last night. I should say early this morning at about 1, which is how long I was doing all this for, and also for the hand in the way. But I forgot to point this out. This is all that was happening with the when I was putting the ratchet on. Is every time it jumped the teeth, it was getting tighter and tighter, and it just kept putting a hole in the timing belt itself. I think that might be the only one. Nope, there we go. It's just like covered in cat litter, but got another little bit of a bite in there. So yeah, it wasn't going, and I was frustrated, because the plan was for this to be taken apart last night, get a couple hours of sleep, and then take the heads and the blocks separated up to IAG and see what they had to say about it. And what's kind of getting the worst of me is I don't even know what the damage is. Obviously, there's going to be a head gasket issue, and I think because when I was rotating the other day, when I was lining up the timing marks, when I was rotating the crank pulley, there was water coming out of the driver's side. So I have a feeling that both the head gaskets popped, which clearly there was a lot of pressure within the engine with the hot water. I'm telling you, I was an idiot. I let my excitement get the best of me, and I did the worst thing possible and just kept driving. So let me just disclose that I did see temps of 145 or 245. So if that gives you any insight. I was also dumb enough to be like, I think it might just be a water temp sensor issue. Obviously not the case. It was a me issue. And so yeah, that's that. But now I am just for the sprocket tools to come in, and hopefully that'll make getting these sprockets off that much easier. Based on videos I've seen and reviews, nobody else has had an issue. And because they're the hex bit inside of there, 6-side inside the head, I think I'm gonna go ahead and place an order on the 17 mil head bolts. Headed bolts for the cams, because I don't want to continuously face this struggle. And what I'm hoping also is that these things aren't Loctited. If it's blue, whatever, but with as tight as they darn are, I have a suspicion that they might be red Loctited, or I'm just super weak. And what I've done some research on, and maybe I need to do more, but is these bolts are actually torqued down to 70 foot-pounds, if I'm not mistaken. And then with driving around and whatnot, they get tighter, and it can be up to 140 foot-pounds, keeping them stuck on. So I don't know. Could be that. I mean, I know I stood up on the end of the engine stand and put my full body weight on the breaker bar that I was using, and I also used the cheater bar. That there's a mess, but it's on the creeper right there. I used the cheater bar to try and get a little bit more leverage. Just nothing was happening, so I got frustrated late at night and just went to bed and ordered the parts. But anyway, that is me being transparent with y'all. I just want to let you know what's going on, and yeah, the sprocket tools are supposed to arrive on Tuesday. I've also ordered some impact grade, like one piece 10 millimeter hex sockets. So no more of the, I don't even know, no more of this guy thing going on. So with the pressed in fitting, so having the impact rated one piece, it'll be good to go. But we'll see. All I know is I want to get this thing taken apart so that I can show you and see for myself what all the damage is, get it taken up, see if I can get the engine refreshed, or if I have to buy a new short block, and hopefully the heads are all right as well. So, all right, y'all, until next time, hopefully, Tuesday I get this thing, well, if not Tuesday night, Wednesday night, I get this thing torn apart, and we'll see if I take another trip up to, or we'll see if I take that trip up to Maryland, not this weekend, but next weekend. So, till then, stay driven.